it's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I'm Luis Mercado, and I'm here with Max Cohen. He's a producer at Center Maine in Portland, Maine. Thanks, Max, for joining me.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So my first question I want to ask you is, how have you been able to adjust to the way you work?
So, like a lot of stations across the country, we've all adjusted and we're working from home now. So 3 days a week, I work from home. Those are for the morning report. From midnight to 8 a.m., I head to work and I do it all from my desk. So that's pretty interesting. On the weekends, I still go in, but that's because they're trying to keep the amount of people in the newsroom down to keep everyone safe. So if there be too many people in the newsroom, like during the weekdays, keep everyone at home. On the weekends, it's basically just me, the director, editor. So we just go in. Again, there has to be someone to booth the show. So I end up going out on the weekends, but it's mostly work from home.
And how has Tegna and the station as a whole been able to handle when it comes to covering COVID-19 and the news around it?
So all of our reporters do everything remotely now. So they are outside the station. They all work from home as well. A lot of FaceTime interviews and sometimes having the subject of the recording take videos themselves of what we'd like to see, just to limit their contact with people. As far as reporting on the actual virus, I think at this point, where it's April 22nd, we've gone past people. A lot in the beginning was people trying to figure out what are the symptoms. How do people get infected? I think a lot of it has switched to what does this mean for my job? What does this mean going forward for our country? How long is stay-at-home orders, social distancing going to last? I think people have gotten basics of what the virus is, so a lot of the reporting is about all the problems that are associated with what's happening right now.
And considering the amount of stories you have going on, that you have to pick apart and all that, how do you go about selecting the stories that you have to do and you have to pick for the rundown of your show?
Okay. Well, every day we talk about what we're going to do through Zoom. Actually, we talk about what stories we have, and so our reporters, we have great reporters, two Emersonians actually, Sean Stackhouse, Chloe Tebow in the mornings. We also have another reporter, Zach Blanchard, and they're just amazing because they find great stories. They find the hard-hitting stories that people want to know about unemployment and about what grocery stores are doing to protect customers and employees. They also do great feel-good stories, about people making masks for those in need, or what you can do on the weekends to, or any day really, to get outside and still be social distanced. So our reporters do a great job of picking stories, so those go into the rundown. A lot of as a morning producer, you look at what the night shows do as well. You can take content from them. A lot of it is different audiences, so different audiences watch the morning show than the evening show. So you can run some of the content from the evening show, repurpose it for the morning show. So a lot of the people that haven't seen it yet, because they weren't watching, especially if they're up at 5 a.m., they're not watching at 6:30 typically. There's of course some crossover, but not a lot of people are watching both shows.
And how do you, considering you brought up that you have Zach Blanchard and you have Sean Stackhouse and Chloe writing their stories, so what about about content that comes from the assignment desk and that works its way to you as a producer to putting into your rundown? So how do you go about that part too?
So just that our station gets smaller, it works a lot different. We do have an assignment desk editor, and he's great, but a lot of the times as the morning producers, we're looking for the stories. We're going through our emails and just digging for the stories. A lot of it is, in the morning. I mean, we're just going for it. Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question for our station. It's a little bit different.
And I guess it depends how, I guess it's every station to station and how like management runs those
Yeah,
days.
exactly. We just don't run like that, so I couldn't really give you a solid answer.
And my next question I want to ask you is, one of my last questions I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to someone who wants to go into the broadcast journalism industry?
You just have to be prepared to get people the info they need, and while keeping yourself safe and keeping your community safe. And it's going to be tough sometimes, and we're going through a tough time right now. And hopefully, for anyone who's getting into journalism, it'll be easier along the road. But you have to always be prepared for situations like this and know your duty as a journalist to try to help people, or inform people at least.
And it's interesting to say that. Like, what advice would you give to someone who is walking in now with this pandemic?
You're walking into something that's never happened before. I mean, geez, it's going to be weird for your first couple of months. I mean, it's going to be totally different. When I got here, I got an orientation and I got to meet everyone. Carly Dion, who's a producer here, she just got hired and she hasn't barely met anyone. She's been working from home this whole time. It's been a totally different experience, and it's been tough, I think, for her. I've yet to ask her how tough it's been, but she said it's been difficult. And I understand that it's going to be difficult, and you just have to try your best. It's a tough time, and just get through it, and hopefully come out on the other end okay.
Yeah, let's definitely see how this all goes for all of us as journalists, especially everyone over there at News Center. Thank you, Max, for taking the time to talk to me. And thank you for the work you're doing to keep us informed and safe. And
No problem.
All of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I've been talking to Max Cohen, the producer from News Center Maine in Portland, Maine. I'm Luis Mercado.